Okay, welcome back. I will be taking you through my Google Data Studio dashboard. So I'll begin with the brand versus non-brand filter. And let me actually just copy this. Okay, so I'll delete this so that I can go over what I actually did to power this brand versus non-brand. Usually I'll use this when presenting to the stakeholder or the PM involved. I select only on non-brand when I'm presenting, the SEO initiatives and how performance is going. So because of all the charts selected to auto, so this is actually going to power that when I change it. So then here I'll flip back to brand. So non-brand is looking pretty strong here. So branded clicks are down. So if I switch back over to non-brand, here, and then we're comparing. So each scorecard and chart has a comparison period. So for this slide, at least, I'm looking at year over year. If I click here, I'll see the comparison date is selected to previous year. I have another slide that breaks out the month over month comparisons. Okay, so let's get back to the filter. So once you connect to your data source, whatever you're trying to compare, you could do that through here. I added the Google Search Console connector to the slide. So I have a little logo here to identify which data source I'm pulling from. And when I'm adding a new control, so I'm just adding an advanced filter, you can do, because I'm actually going to change it to drop down. So let's just start with that. So drop down selection, and then it's going to pull from whatever data source you have connected. If you have multiple data sources, just make sure it's pulling from the one in question. Then you come down here to the control field. And of course, you can do the non-brand versus brand at the data source level. So when you are connecting your data source, you can just do the calculated field there. I'm just doing it this way because I decided to add this brand versus non-brand filter here. So I'm adding the calculated field. So it's going to auto select like whatever field it has. So right now it's date. But we're going to change that. So click there and then go to your calculated field, and the Google Data Studio SQL, you can just ask chat to generate using the Google Data Studio flavor SQL. And then I'm using Regex contains. Usually when I ask chat, it'll give me like lower, and then it'll add like match, regex match, but I like to make some modifications. It's just my preference. And then here I've got all the variations. So you would do like misspellings and like however your brand filter looks at your level, and then so it's going to label that brand, and then the catch-all, so just everything else is going to be labeled non-brand for the queries. So, and don't forget to add the display name. So then I'll do brand versus non-brand and then apply. So yeah, I prefer having the drop down filter here. I think it makes it pretty easy because then you could just do only here. And then I do the same drop down for service category as well. So then next I'll dive into how I broke out the service category. And this actually needs a little bit of work. I just kind of put this together, grabbing the most important kind of categories here. And I think this is valuable too, like if you're an SEO, kind of showcasing, to a client what you're working on and things like that. So like aligning the business goals to the SEO initiatives. So here they just happen to gain a ton of visibility with the Botox aftercare instructions. So Yeah, this is a site I'm not doing SEO. We just my friend built the site because she actually got caught into the trap where she got this cheap agency to build and do all the marketing, and then they actually held her website hostage. So she had ownership over the domain, but then they had the rights to like her website. So just make sure if you are getting SEO from someone or a website from somebody, that is something to really think about. I used to work at another agency that would do that type of like shady stuff. I was there for like a week. Um so yeah, like definitely be cautious when you are getting cheap SEO because there's a lot of shady people out there. So just be careful out there. All right. Anyways, sorry, went off. So you do the same kind of steps here when you're building out your service category. Um, Drop down selector. And I do this too at the metric level or dimension level as well. So here I asked chat, so you can see it's a chat generated. It's adding that lower. Whatever, fine. If chat wants to add that. Another thing I did notice that chat does when you're asking for Data Studio SQL, it'll or like Regex, it'll just like write out the entire query, like the entire keyword. Um, so you're kind of like you just have to spot check and then do like abbreviations and like so that you're capturing all variations. Just something I noticed. And okay, so once you add all that, so the case, so when the query contains using regex, it will then power whatever category you specify. So then everything else is going to be other or unclassified. And yeah, I just have to go through and be a little bit more thorough with this one. Okay. So here I'm going to scroll down because something that I wanted to know. So here I added the service category as well. I mean, you could spell out your labels. Service category. I'll just do that. So if this is going to be something that you're presenting to the stakeholders, you might want to make it look a little bit more presentable. So I had a PM that wanted to showcase the value of SEO. I was coming into an account that had a lot of problems and they weren't really doing proper geo targeting, a lot of issues. So I'm going through and resolving a lot of the stuff and cleaning things up. But what I wanted to showcase to him, I mean, it was like they were not getting very many non-brand clicks, but still I wanted to show, the progress that we've made. And by categorizing the keywords and things like that, we could show that like they were predominantly only getting found for AC terms. And so like by categorizing, I could show, we're gaining visibility in like all these other categories, especially during like January and February. Obviously like the demand is going to be a little bit more higher for furnace intent rather than AC. So I think, it helps when you are presenting, even if the client is able to see like progress on their end, especially in the early days when you have to go through all the cleanup, like you're not going to be able to, I mean, you're not a magician. You're not going to be able to start getting clicks right away if you have a bunch of cleanup to go through. So this makes it easy. I love Data Studio so much to visualize, the efforts that you're putting forward. So what I did for him, I exported all the non-branded queries and I sorted by the top click terms. And here I'm actually hiding her domain so I actually created another calculated field just to replace with only the permalink so that you guys aren't, whatever. So I can export the data here. So if you click into the three dotted lines, and this can be doable at the view level too. So if you have a client that is pretty data savvy and you want to send over this dashboard, they're able to do their own analysis too on their end. So they can export all your non-branded query performance and everything like that. So here I just like exported the data, and for him, I wanted to break out the newly gained keywords. And sometimes for clients, I will get a little bit more precise by going directly into Search Console and then exporting there. And I'll do a different type of look back, because right here in this table, we're just kind of looking at this month to date. Well, so it's like basically excluding today. So basically just last month. And in Search Console, I would do a further comparison range if I'm going to look at the net new keywords. So I would compare against all the previous months. Prior to that, I would go back as far as I could. And in Search Console, you only have 16 months look back. So when I would do my kind of comparison in Excel or Sheets, I would have that data to compare against. But if you're just doing something kind of like on the fly, this is pretty easy to do as well. And I'll give you the formula that I use in identifying, if there was a query ranked but not in the previous months, then label as new query. So this is still exporting, so I don't know why it's taking so long. Okay, so yeah, also, did I select non-brand up here? Oh, so did it revert? I don't know why these are getting pulled in when I have non-brand. Oh, so these filters are competing with each other. Let's just delete that. Let's see now. Okay, and my thing is still exporting. It's kind of taking a long time. Maybe I'll do a smaller section. I added conditional formatting too to identify the page one queries. So I like this chart too. So if you're looking for specific intent, so for her, we could do, implant. And then we can identify the common questions that users are asking. Oh, because I have Regex. Okay, query, number, and scroll back down. Yeah, so this is another useful chart if you want to. Sometimes I'll just take a screenshot and be like, chat, generate questions and answers concisely. I hate when it gives me like super long answers. Yeah, so these are good to add to pages. So here's like an opportunity, all in X versus traditional. And it's on this blog, all in X versus dentures. So that's just all in X versus dentures, but maybe we want to write an article that looks at specifically versus traditional, or just add that to this blog. So then we have a super blog that's capturing all types of variations of all on X versus whatever. Cool. So yeah, this is kind of my way of powering those FAQs. And I could provide this regex for you guys because my filter You can add these as top level filters too. So if you don't want to do like a bunch of different charts like how I like separating it all on one page so that I can just kind of scroll down and it's always there. But for this, it's like the high funnel. So the question based queries, which I have labeled there, and then excluding their brand, of course. Although maybe looking at branded questions too, so that would be good for their brand awareness. Like, what are questions that people are asking about their brand? But for me, my focus was more on non-brand for them. So that's why I have it pre-filtered here. Let's just do a smaller export. What did we see that had very little? Okay, so we could do, let's do teeth cleaning. Or actually, let's do teeth whitening. Okay. So here it's going to update my chart. Why is my brand not working? Oh. I don't have it selected at non-brand. But if I do, is that going to update? Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure, y'all. Okay, I need to update my conditional formatting too. I missed that one somehow. Alrighty. So let's export this guy so I can show you what I did for him, because I did this for another client I was consulting for. They had an internal team, marketing team, and then I was just a SEO consultant. They were very big on seeing the newly gained keywords. So I would do that formula there.